Mantras of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says the Divine's will is that we should be like channels, always open, always more wide, so that His forces may pour their abundance into the mold. With my love and blessings, says our Divine Mother. Words of our Divine Mother taken from the collective works of our Divine Mother, Question and Answers, Volume 3, page 175, topic Supermind and Overmind, subtopic True Humility, Supramental Plasticity, Spiritual Rebirth. Our Divine Mother says, this is regarding your question about the meaning of true humility, supramental plasticity, and spiritual rebirth. Humility is the state of consciousness in which whatever the realization, the infinite is still in front of you. The rare quality of selfless admiration is another aspect of true humility, for it is sheer arrogance that refuses to admire and is complacent about its own petty achievements, forgetting the infinite which is always ahead of it. However, you need to be humble not only when you have nothing substantial or divine in you, but even when you are on the path of transformation. Paradoxal, says our Divine Mother, paradoxal though it may sound, the Divine, who is absolutely perfect, is at the same time absolutely humble, humble as nothing else can ever be. He is not occupied by admiring himself, though he is the all. He ever seeks to find himself in what is not himself. That is why he has created in his own being what seems to be a colossal, not himself, this phenomenal world. Our Divine Mother says he has passed into a form in which he has to discover endlessly the infinite contents of that which he possesses entirely in the eternal consciousness. Our Divine Mother says one of the greatest victories of this ineffable humility of God will be the transformation of matter, which is apparently the most undivine. Supramental plasticity is an attribute of finally transformed matter. The supramental body, which has to be brought into the being here, has four main attributes: lightness, adaptability, plasticity, and luminosity. Let me repeat, the supramental body, which has to be brought into the being here, has four main attributes: lightness, adaptability, plasticity, and luminosity. When the physical body is thoroughly divinized, it will feel as if it were always walking on air. There will be no heaviness or tamas or unconsciousness element. There will also be no end to its power of adaptability. In whatever condition it is placed, it will immediately be equal to the demands made upon it, because its full consciousness will drive out all that inertia and incapacity which usually makes matter a drag on the spirit. And Divine Mother says supramental plasticity will enable it to stand the attack of every hostile force which strikes to pierce it. It will present no dull resistance to the attack, but will be, on the contrary, so pliant as to nullify the force by giving way to it to pass off. Thus, it will suffer no harmful consequences, and the most deadly attacks will leave it unscathed. Lastly, it will be turned into the stuff of light. Each cell will radiate the supramental glory. Not only those who are developed enough to have their subtle sight open, but the ordinary man too will be able to perceive this luminosity. It is an evident fact to each and all, a permanent proof of the transformation which will convince even the most skeptical. Our Divine Mother says the bodily transformation will be the supreme spiritual rebirth, an utter casting away of all the ordinary past. For spiritual rebirth means the constant throwing away of our previous associations and circumstances and proceeding to live as if at each virgin moment we are starting life anew. It is free of what is called karma, the stream of our past actions. In other words, a liberation from the bondage of nature's common activity of cause and effect. Our Divine Mother says when this cutting away of the past is triumphantly accomplished in the consciousness, all those mistakes, blunders, errors, and follies, which still vivid in our recollection, cling to us like leeches, sucking our life blood, drop away, leaving us most joyously free. This freedom is not a mere matter of thought, it is the most solid, practical, material fact. We really are free. Nothing binds us, nothing affects us. There is no obsession of responsibility. If we want to counteract, annul, or outgrow our past, we cannot do it by mere repentance or similar things. We must forget that the untransformed past has ever been and enter into an enlightened state of consciousness which breaks loose from all moorings. Our Divine Mother says, to be reborn means to enter, first of all, into our psychic consciousness where we are one with the Divine and eternally free from the reactions of karma. Without becoming aware of the psychic, it is not possible to do so. But once we are securely conscious of the true soul in us, which is always surrendered to the Divine, all bondage ceases. And Divine Mother says, then incessantly life begins afresh. Then the past no longer cleaves to us. To give us an idea of the final height of spiritual rebirth, our Divine Mother says, I may say that there can be a constant experience of the whole universe actually disappearing at every instant and being at every instant newly created, says our Divine Mother. Next subtopic, the supramental realization. Our Divine Mother says, in order to know what the supramental realization will be like, the first step, the first condition is to know what the supramental consciousness is. All those who have been, in one way or another, in contact with it have had some glimpse of the realization to be. But those who have not can yet aspire for that realization, just as they can aspire to get the supramental knowledge. True knowledge means awareness by identity. Once you get in touch with the supramental world, you can say something about its descent, not before. What you can say before is that there will be a new creation upon earth. This you say through faith, since the exact character of it escapes you. And if you're called upon to define realization, you may declare that individually speaking, it means the transformation of your ordinary human consciousness into the divine and supramental. Our Divine Mother says, the consciousness is like a ladder. At each great epoch, there has been one great being capable of adding one more step to the ladder and reaching a place where the ordinary consciousness had never been. It is possible to attain a high level and get completely out of the material consciousness, but then one does not retain the ladder. Whereas the great achievement of the great epochs of the universe has been the capacity to add one more step to the ladder without losing contact with the material, the capacity to reach the highest and at the same time connect the top with the bottom instead of letting an emptiness cut off all connection between the different planes. Our Divine Mother says to go up and down and join the top to the bottom is the whole secret of realization, and that is the work of the avatar. Each time he adds one more step to the ladder, there is a new creation upon earth. The step which is being added now, Sri Aurobindo has called the supramental. As a result of it, the consciousness will be able to enter the supramental world and yet retain its personal form, its individualization, and then come down to establish here a new creation. Certainly, this is not the last, for there are farther ranges of being. But now we are at work to bring down the supramental, to effect a reorganization of the world, to bring the world back to the true divine order. It is essentially a creation of order, a putting of everything in its true place, and the chief spirit or force. The Shakti active at present is Mahasaraswati, the goddess of perfect organization. Our Divine Mother says the work of achieving a continuity which permits one to go up and down and bring into the material what is above is done inside the consciousness. Divine Mother says he who is meant to do it, the avatar, even if he were shut up in a prison and saw nobody and never moved out, still would he do the work, because it is a work in the consciousness, a work of connection between the supermind and the material being. He does not need to be recognized. He need have no outward power in order to be able to establish this conscious connection. Once, however, the connection is made, it must have its effect in the outer world in the form of a new creation, beginning with a model town and ending with a perfect world, says our Divine Mother. Next subtopic, the supramental descent. Our Divine Mother says, do you know what the flower which we call successful future signifies when given to you? It signifies the hope, nay, even the promise that you will participate in the descent of the supramental world. For that descent will be the successful consummation of our work, a descent of which the full glory has not yet been, or else the whole face of life would have been different. By slow degrees, the supramental is exerting its influence, now one part of the being and now another feels the embrace or the touch of the divinity. But when it comes down in all its self-existent power, a supreme radical change will seize the whole nature. Our Divine Mother says we are moving nearer and nearer the hour of its complete triumph. Once the world conditions are ready, the full descent will take place, carrying everything before it. Its presence will be unmistakable. Its force will brook no resistance. Doubts and difficulties will not torture you any longer. For the divine will stand manifest, unveiled in its total perfection. I do not, however, mean to say that the whole world will at once feel its presence or to be transformed, but I do mean that a part of humanity will know and participate in its descent, say this little world of ours here. From there, the transfiguring grace will most effectively radiate. And fortunately for the aspirants, that successful future will materialize for them in spite of all the obstacles set in its way by unregenerate human nature, says our Divine Mother.